Welcome back to the channel. Today, we dive deep into one of the most talked about modern coins that continues to surprise collectors, hunters, and investors. This is the incredible journey of the 1982 Mint Mark Roosevelt Dime, a small silver-colored coin that hides huge value potential and a history that very few people know. Most people have handled thousands of Roosevelt dimes in their lives without ever imagining that a rare one could be hiding in their pocket change. But this 1982 Philadelphia dime is one of those coins that proves treasure can appear in the smallest places. To understand why this particular year is so special, we must first appreciate the world of Roosevelt dimes and how they came to be. After the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1945, the United States Mint quickly moved to honor him on the 10-cent coin because of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. And also because of his founding support for the March of Dimes, which helped raise funds to combat polio. When the first Roosevelt dimes were released, they instantly became a symbol of American strength and progress. Over the decades, the design remained nearly unchanged, and even today it's one of the most familiar coins in circulation. However, familiarity does not mean simplicity. Behind the scenes, every year brought new minting challenges, new metal compositions, new mint mark styles, and occasional errors that unintentionally created rare treasures. And the year 1982 was one of the most complicated and important years in modern United States mint history. In fact, it is a year that continues to fascinate collectors because of an unusual decision that affected almost every denomination minted that year. 1982 was a year of transition for the U.S. Mint. Due to budget cuts and production strategy changes, the Mint decided to stop using mint marks on certain coins at specific times. This created confusion among collectors because some coins minted that year exist both with and without mint marks. A missing mint mark could be an error or could be intentional depending on the moment it was produced. And this situation had a major effect on the dime series because some of the most valuable modern dimes ever discovered came from 1982 Philadelphia production. The 1982 Roosevelt dime is interesting not just because of the mint mark itself but because of the wide number of die varieties, small differences, metal inconsistencies, and minting issues. The Philadelphia Mint was under pressure that year to produce massive quantities of coins for circulation, and any rushed production always increases the chance of astonishing errors making it into the world. Some dimes from this year show weak strikes, some show full torch details, some show blurry lettering, and some have extremely crisp designs that collectors fight over in auctions. When you combine high demand with multiple varieties and the potential for a rare error, you get a coin that becomes legendary in the hobby. What truly makes a 1982 dime valuable is not the year alone but the condition. Condition is king in the coin world. A coin that is barely circulated or that still shows full luster, sharp edges, clean lettering, and perfectly struck details becomes a premium piece. And because most 1982 dimes went straight into circulation, finding a beautiful survivor today is difficult and exciting. Many people have discovered that checking old jars, drawers, and bank rolls can reveal incredible finds. One sparkling example of a high-grade 1982 dime sold in an online auction for thousands of dollars because of its near-perfect shine, untouched surface, and crisp torch and portrait details. Collectors who know what to look for understand that the difference between a 10-cent coin and a life-changing payday can be as small as a tiny scratch or a strong strike. Another reason the 1982 dime continues to gain attention is because of its link to the famous 1982 no P variety. This major error belongs to the same year, and although it is not the subject of our main focus today, its presence increases the overall interest in all 1982 dimes. The no P variety was discovered accidentally by a collector who noticed a dime missing a mint mark. What initially seemed like a simple oversight turned out to be one of the biggest modern era discoveries in United States coin history. And because of that, collectors pay extremely close attention to any dime from this year, especially those minted in Philadelphia. But besides errors and varieties, the 1982 dime also has a charm that comes from the era it represents. The early 1980s were a time of economic change, new policies, rising inflation, and shifts in American manufacturing. Coins from this era reflect both economic pressure and technological transition. Metal compositions had recently changed in pennies, steel experimentation was happening behind the scenes, and the mint was constantly trying to balance cost efficiency with quality. That makes any well-preserved 1982 coin a time capsule of a very unique industrial moment in America. Collectors today often look at 1982 Roosevelt dimes through magnifying lenses, searching for doubling, metal separation, misplaced mint marks, die cracks, and other unusual features. Even tiny abnormalities can greatly increase value. And with modern grading companies offering high premiums for top-graded coins, a simple dime could become an extraordinary discovery. Some people find their valuable coins when sorting through pocket change. Others deliberately buy rolls of dimes from the bank and search through hundreds or thousands at a time. And some collectors inherit old coin collections from relatives and only later discover that inside those bags and boxes could be a rare 1982 dime that could change their understanding of what small coins are capable of. For new collectors, learning how to evaluate the 1982 dime is essential. The portrait of Franklin Roosevelt should show defined hairlines, clear eyebrow shape, and smooth facial contours. Any flattening or heavy scratches reduce the value. The word liberty should be sharp, with no fading in the letters. The motto "I in God we trust" should be bold, and the date should be clean and perfectly shaped. On the reverse side, the torch flame and the olives and oak leaves must show fine lines and complete separation. A weakly struck reverse is common on many 1982 coins, so a strong one becomes an instant prize. If the coin looks brand new or has beautiful luster that rotates under light like a mirror, it may be worth getting it graded professionally. And this brings us to the thrilling world of modern coin grading. A professionally graded 1982 dime in near-perfect mint state can sell for astronomical amounts compared to face value. The grading companies assign a number from 1 to 70. A 70 is perfection, something almost never seen. Even a 67 or 68 can command huge attention from collectors who want only the finest known examples. When a top-grade 1982 dime appears at auction, bidding becomes intense because everyone knows that surviving dimes from this year with flawless surfaces are incredibly hard to find. Collectors also pay special attention to the shine and texture of the coin. Luster is extremely important. Dimes from 1982 often have cloudy tone or minor factory abrasions, so a bright, smooth example stands out immediately. The Philadelphia Mint was experimenting with speed and pressure adjustments in the early 80s, and this resulted in inconsistent finishes. That inconsistency makes any exceptional example even more valuable. For many collectors, the thrill is in the hunt, searching for that one extraordinary dime hidden among common ones. Over the years, more people have become interested in modern coin varieties, and the 1982 dime remains one of the most researched coins in online forums, collector groups, and coin shows. Experts constantly discuss the subtle differences that create premium prices. They analyze photos, compare mint strikes, debate about die polishing patterns, and review auction trends. The constant attention ensures that this coin will never fade into obscurity. It has earned a permanent place in modern U.S. coin collecting history. So why does such a tiny coin continue to generate such massive interest? The answer is simple: mystery, rarity, condition, and the excitement that comes from knowing that treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Anyone watching this video might have a valuable 1982 Roosevelt dime right now without knowing it. And that possibility makes the hobby exciting and accessible to everyone. You don't need to be a millionaire, a historian, or a professional collector. You just need attention to detail, curiosity, and the willingness to look closely at the coins you already have. Every time another 1982 dime sells for a strong amount at auction, collectors are reminded that modern coins absolutely can hold incredible value. And as the years continue to pass, high-grade survivors become even rarer. More coins get scratched, lost, damaged, or worn away. But the ones that remain, the perfectly preserved gems, the flawless beauties, they rise in value like true treasures. Journey takes us deep into the heart of American coinage history, uncovering the little-known story behind one of the most overlooked and fascinating modern coins, the 1987 Roosevelt Dime. At first glance, it might seem like an ordinary 10-cent coin found in pocket change, a tiny piece of metal with little importance. But when we look closer, this coin opens the door to a world of historical meaning, minting precision, surprising demand in the collector market, and the potential for hidden treasure that could be resting in someone's old jar of coins right now. If you love stories about rare coins, unexpected value, and the thrill of discovering something special among ordinary money, then you're in the right place. The 1987 Roosevelt Dime carries the portrait of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, and a leader remembered for guiding the nation through the Great Depression and the Second World War. His image has been on the dime since 1946, chosen to honor his role in the founding of the March of Dimes charity. Over the decades, millions of these coins have traveled through the hands of Americans, passing silently from one generation to the next. But among those millions are always a few examples with exceptional qualities, the kind that collectors spend years hunting down. The 1987 dime minted at Philadelphia, identified by the small P mint mark on its obverse, is a perfect example of how a coin can transform from everyday currency into a valuable collectible. Production numbers were high that year, with hundreds of millions of pieces entering circulation. Yet only a tiny fraction of them survived in pristine condition, untouched by wear, scratches, or the rough environment of circulation. And it is those nearly flawless examples that can command unexpectedly high prices in the collector's market today. Before we dive into the world of value and rarity, it's important to understand what makes this coin interesting beyond its monetary appeal. The year 1987 was a moment of technological improvement at the United States Mint. The minting process had become more refined, producing sharper details, cleaner strikes, and greater consistency compared to earlier decades. As a result, coins from this period often have crisp edges, defined lettering, and well-preserved design elements, provided they were saved early on by collectors. The Roosevelt portrait, with its smooth contours and visible hairlines, stands out beautifully on high-grade specimens. But what truly separates one 1987 dime from another is its condition. Coin collectors, known as numismatists, evaluate coins using a grading scale that runs from poor to mint state, with mint state coins representing pieces that look nearly identical to the moment they left the presses. In this upper realm of grading, every tiny detail matters, from the shine of the luster to the absence of contact marks. A single scratch, a fingerprint, or a bit of dullness can significantly reduce the value of the coin. Most 1987 dimes found in circulation today have been exposed to decades of handling. They've sat in drawers, fallen between car seats, rattled inside cash registers, and traveled from one pocket to another. These circulated examples are usually worth only their face value of 10 cents. But the rare survivors, those set aside right after minting, protected in rolls, or discovered in original mint sets, can attract impressive prices because high-grade examples are scarce and increasingly sought after. The story becomes even more compelling when we consider errors, one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting. Errors occur during the minting process when something goes unexpectedly wrong with the planchets, dies, or machines. Although the 1987 dime isn't widely known for dramatic error varieties, collectors still search for subtle anomalies like off-center strikes, doubled dies, die cracks, and improperly polished surfaces. These unusual features are like fingerprints from the minting process, making certain coins one of a kind. A dramatic error can boost the coin's desirability significantly, especially if the coin is also in excellent condition. When we look at the collector's marketplace today, the demand for modern dimes has grown rapidly. New collectors, younger hobbyists, and longtime numismatists have all shown increased interest in high-grade modern coins. This means that a coin like the 1987 Roosevelt Dime, which might seem too common at first glance, becomes a hidden gem in the right condition. Auction houses and online coin platforms routinely list modern dimes graded at the highest levels by professional grading services, and the prices can surprise even experienced collectors. Part of what makes modern coins so fascinating is that people rarely expect them to be worth anything beyond their face value. It's easy to assume valuable coins must be old, made of silver, or from centuries past. But the 1987 dime challenges that belief. It reminds us that value doesn't always come from age, sometimes it comes from rarity and high grade, collector demand, and the luck of finding a perfect example of a seemingly ordinary coin. Imagine someone cleaning out an attic, opening an old jar filled with coins saved decades ago, and discovering a sparkling 1987 dime that looks untouched by time. That small discovery could change everything. Collectors understand this thrill well. It's the excitement of possibility, the idea that even the smallest and most common coins have stories to tell and value waiting to be revealed. To understand the true worth of the 1987 dime, we look to the highest graded examples ever sold. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC evaluate thousands of coins, but only a few achieve extremely high mint state grades. These top-tier examples are the ones that create headlines, draw attention from collectors around the world, and inspire the belief that hidden treasures might still be out there. Collectors are not only paying for the coin itself but also for its rarity among its peers. Two coins from the same year with the same mint mark may appear identical to the naked eye, yet their grades may be worlds apart. A coin that looks perfect may reveal tiny imperfections under magnification that lower its grade. That's why carefully preserved examples are so valuable, because surviving decades without a single flaw is incredibly difficult for a coin meant for everyday use. The Roosevelt Dime series, which began in 1946 and continues to the present day, is filled with interesting pieces. But the 1987 dime has carved out a distinct place because of its rising demand among collectors of modern U.S. coins. People who collect by year or by mint mark know that securing a high-grade example of each date is part of the challenge and joy of completing a full set. And as more collectors join the hobby, the demand for high-quality coins from all eras continues to grow. Coins like the 1987 dime also serve as reminders of how American currency evolves. From the era of silver dimes to today's copper-nickel-clad coins, each generation of money reflects the history, economy, and priorities of the nation. The Roosevelt Dime, though small, represents tradition, progress, and national memory. That alone gives it value beyond metal, because it stands as a tiny monument to a historic figure and a lasting symbol of American resilience. The modern coin market can be unpredictable. Values rise and fall depending on supply, demand, grading trends, and collector interest. But one thing is certain. High-quality examples of the 1987 Roosevelt Dime attract attention for good reason. They represent an era of improved minting practices, strong collector interest, and the thrill of finding something rare among the ordinary. So if you ever come across a 1987 dime lying in your drawer, resting in your change, or tucked away in an old coin book, take a moment to examine it carefully. Look at the shine, the details, the edges, and the absence or presence of wear. You never know, your coin might be one of the rare survivors preserved in beautiful condition, a hidden treasure waiting to be recognized. In the world of coin collecting, every coin tells a story, and some stories are worth far more than 10 cents. The 2000 Roosevelt Dime. It may look like an ordinary 10-cent piece, something most people might ignore, drop in a jar, or use without a second thought. But behind its small silver color, behind its everyday appearance, and behind its 21st century production year lies a fascinating story filled with history, minting details, collector demand, rare errors, grading secrets, and the surprising reality that some examples of this coin can be worth far more than their face value. Today's video is going to take you deep into the world of the United States of America 2000 Roosevelt Dime, a coin that represents the legacy of Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the long tradition of American craftsmanship at the Philadelphia Mint. Before we begin exploring the value of this coin, it's important to understand what makes the Roosevelt Dime such a significant piece in U.S. coinage. The design was introduced in 1946, the year after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. His leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left a lasting impact on the nation, and his longtime support for the March of Dimes campaign made the 10-cent piece the perfect tribute to honor him. The Roosevelt Dime has remained in circulation ever since, surviving changes in metal content, minting processes, and national events. And even though billions of Roosevelt dimes have been made, each year brings its own characteristics, its own set of varieties, and its own surprises for collectors. The year 2000 is especially interesting because it sits right at the turn of the millennium. The country had just transitioned into a new century, technology was rapidly changing, and the U.S. Mint was updating equipment, improving die production, and pushing higher output than ever before. The 2000 Roosevelt dime was struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint, the oldest mint facility in the United States. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of these dimes, flooding the economy with shiny new coins. But as collectors already know, even within massive mintages, rare gems, unusual errors, and exceptional condition examples always stand out. When we talk about value, condition plays one of the most important roles. A 2000 Roosevelt dime that has been through circulation, showing wear, scratches, and dull fields, usually carries only its face value of 10 cents. However, when you discover a coin that escaped circulation, a coin that still shines with original mint luster, sharp details, and perfect surfaces, collectors begin paying attention. High-grade Roosevelt dimes, especially those certified by major grading companies such as PCGS and NGC, can command strong premiums because they are much harder to find than most people imagine. For the 2000 dime, coins graded at the top level of the mint state scale, MS67, MS68, and especially MS69, are incredibly rare. These grades require outstanding quality, no major contact marks, strong strike details, perfect fields, and brilliant luster. Even a tiny flaw can drop the grade significantly. That is why so few examples exist in superb condition, even though hundreds of millions were minted. Many coins went straight into vending machines, pockets, bank rolls, and everyday commerce before anyone even thought about saving them. By the time collectors started searching, most coins had already acquired signs of use. Alongside condition, the second major factor affecting value is error varieties. The year 2000 produced several interesting Roosevelt dime errors that collectors actively search for today. Error dimes can be worth significantly more than normal coins because they offer something visually unique, historically special, and extremely limited. Some of the most desirable errors include off-center strikes, missing clad layers, broad-struck coins, double strikes, and dramatic die cracks or die clashes. For example, a 2000 dime struck without its outer clad layer reveals a copper-colored surface, a striking and rare appearance that always attracts collector attention. Off-center examples showing 30% or more off-center can also bring strong premiums, especially when the date is still visible. These errors are not produced intentionally. They occur when machinery misaligns, planchets malfunction, or dies are damaged. Because the mint has strict quality control, most errors get destroyed, making the surviving pieces surprisingly valuable. Another exciting area for collectors is the search for doubled dies. While major doubled die varieties are not as prominent in the Roosevelt dime series as in other denominations, even minor doubling on the 2000 dime can increase its desirability. Collectors examine the motto, the date, the word liberty, and especially the torch on the reverse for signs of doubling. A strong doubled die would make the 2000 dime a standout discovery, and minor doubling still adds interest and value. So how does someone find valuable examples of the 2000 Roosevelt dime? The best method is searching through bank rolls. Many collectors still uncover mint state coins in original bank-wrapped rolls, and sometimes these rolls have been sitting untouched for more than 20 years. Coin shows, estate sales, and online auctions also offer opportunities to find high-grade or error examples. But as always, caution and knowledge are key. A trustworthy grading service can verify authenticity and condition, ensuring collectors know exactly what they have. For anyone serious about collecting, learning how to evaluate luster, strike quality, rims, and surface preservation is essential. The Roosevelt dime might be small, but the amount of detail packed into its design makes grading both challenging and rewarding. The torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse reveal how sharply the coin was struck. The fields surrounding Roosevelt's profile show every contact mark clearly. Even the lettering must remain crisp, fully formed, and free of distortion to achieve a high grade. As with all collectible coins, the story behind the year matters too. The year 2000 marked a pivotal moment in the United States, symbolizing the end of one era and the beginning of another. Coins from this time carry a subtle historical significance because they represent the dawn of a new millennium. While most people use these dimes without thinking twice, collectors today view them as part of a broader narrative in American money history. Every coin is a small piece of the national timeline, and the 2000 dime is no exception. Now, when we take all these factors into account, condition, rarity, era varieties, collector demand, and historical significance, we begin to understand why certain 2000 Roosevelt dimes command impressive value. The extremely high-grade examples, particularly those with brilliant luster and pristine surfaces, are the true stars of the series. Even though the majority of these coins remain common, the rarest survivors are worth seeking, preserving, and celebrating. The thrill of the hunt keeps collectors searching, and that thrill is amplified when a simple 10-cent piece turns out to be a hidden treasure. If you've ever come across a shiny 2000 Roosevelt dime in your pocket change, don't overlook it. Examine it carefully. Look at the date, the mint mark, the torch details, the lettering, and the fields. You never know, your coin might be an unrecognized gem, a rare error, or even a high-grade example that slipped into circulation by accident. Coin collecting is full of surprises, and sometimes the smallest coins bring the biggest excitement. As we come to the end of this video, remember that knowledge is the most valuable tool in coin collecting. Understanding what makes a coin rare, what makes it valuable, and what makes it desirable helps you appreciate the beauty of American numismatics. The 2000 Roosevelt dime may be small, but its story is rich, and its potential value is even richer for those who know what to look for. Today we explore one such fascinating piece of modern American history, the United States of America 2007 Mint Mark Roosevelt 1 dime, a coin so common that millions of people have held it in their hands without ever knowing its hidden worth, its minting secrets, its collecting potential, and the surprising discoveries that have recently elevated its status in the coin market. So sit back, relax, and let's travel into the story of a small silver-colored coin that carries a much bigger tale. Before we dive into the values, errors, and rare variations, let us first understand the background of this coin. The Roosevelt dime design was first introduced in 1946, created to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt after his passing. His leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left a permanent mark on American history, and the dime became a fitting tribute due to Roosevelt's strong support for the March of Dimes program. Over the decades, the Roosevelt dime has remained one of the longest-running unchanged coin designs in United States history. The 2007 version continues this tradition with a familiar, iconic look that everyone recognizes. But what most people do not realize is that modern dimes, including those struck in 2007, hide incredible details, variations, and minting quirks that can make them worth far more than 10 cents. The 2007 dime was minted at the Denver Mint, one of the busiest and most productive mints in the world. Denver coins carry the small D mint mark located on the obverse side near the date. In the year 2007, the mint produced hundreds of millions of these dimes for general circulation. Because of the massive mintage, most collectors believe that the 2007 dime is common, modern, and not worth much. But the story does not end there. Hidden among those millions are special pieces with exceptional eye appeal, rare errors, limited-run die varieties, and high-grade survivors that collectors eagerly look for today. One of the most attractive features of the 2007 dime is its accessibility. Anyone, anywhere in the United States or abroad, has the chance of finding one in pocket change, coin rolls, or collections. However, because the Denver Mint was mass-producing coins at a fast pace, minor imperfections in die pressure, alignment, and metal planchets created a surprising number of strange anomalies. These anomalies, or minting errors, can transform an ordinary dime into a rare and valuable collectible. And this is where things become interesting. Let's start with one of the most desirable types of errors, the double die. A double die occurs when the design on the die is imprinted twice in slightly different positions. This results in doubling features such as the inscriptions "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," the date 2007, and even Roosevelt's facial details. While double die varieties for the 2007 D dime are not extremely common, the few that exist are sharply sought after. When viewed under magnification, these doubling effects appear bold and dramatic, increasing the collector interest exponentially. Another important error to look for is the off-center strike. Off-center errors happen when the coin blank, or planchet, is not properly aligned with the dies during striking. The result is a coin with part of the design missing and extra blank space on one side. A lightly off-center dime may only be worth a small premium, but a heavily off-center 2007 D dime, especially one that retains its full date, can bring significant value. The more dramatic the off-center shift, the higher the price collectors are willing to pay. Next, let's talk about broad strikes and partial collar strikes. These errors occur when the retaining collar that holds the coin in place fails during minting. The result is a dime that appears stretched, wider, or with a distorted rim. Collectors love these odd shapes because each error coin is unique in appearance. A 2007 D dime with a broad strike error can bring surprising value depending on condition and severity. Clipped planchets are another extremely popular error category. These occur when the metal strip used to create coin blanks overlaps during punching, creating crescent-shaped cuts on the rim. A 2007 D dime with a clean, well-shaped clip is always desirable, especially if the coin is also in high grade. But beyond errors, we must also consider the world of coin grading. Grading plays a central role in determining the value of any modern coin. While millions of 2007 D dimes exist, only a very small number have survived in perfect, pristine, untouched condition. A coin's grade reflects how well preserved it is, from heavily worn to flawless mint state. High-grade Roosevelt dimes, especially those graded MS-68, MS-69, or the almost impossible MS-70, can bring impressive prices at auctions. A single high-grade example can be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on timing, rarity, and demand. But why do high-grade modern dimes hold such high value? It all comes down to supply and difficulty. Even though the mint produces millions, very few coins escape the minting, bagging, counting, transporting, and circulating processes without receiving scratches, marks, or blemishes. This makes perfect or near-perfect examples extremely rare. When collectors compete for the few surviving near-perfect 2007 D dimes, prices can skyrocket. Now let's turn our attention to the metal content. Many people assume modern dimes are made of silver because of their color, but the truth is that no circulating Roosevelt dimes have been minted in silver since 1964. The 2007 D dime is composed of a copper core layered with copper nickel, giving it strength, durability, and resistance to wear. This composition means that the value of a 2007 D dime is not influenced by precious metal content but rather by rarity, error types, condition, and collector interest. It is a perfect example of how even a simple base metal coin can still carry tremendous historical and monetary significance. Collectors also analyze die states when examining modern dimes. Over time, minting dies wear down, creating coins with unique characteristics such as die cracks, die chips, and weakening details. These die states are fascinating because they capture the exact moment of the mint's production wear. Some late die state 2007 D dimes show raised lines, small bumps, or cracks on Roosevelt's face, the torch, the lettering, or the rim. While not officially classified as errors, these die characteristics can attract collectors who appreciate unusual minting features. Let's also talk about proof-like and satin finish examples. While the Denver Mint does not strike proofs for circulation, occasionally coins come out with unusually reflective surfaces, resembling proof quality. These accidental proof-like 2007 D dimes can be extremely desirable. Additionally, collectors often seek out the special satin finish versions issued in mint sets, which have a unique texture and appearance. These satin coins differ greatly from regular circulation strikes and are already considered scarce today. Moving forward, let's explore the role of auctions. Over the years, several modern Roosevelt dimes have shocked collectors with surprisingly high auction results. While not every 2007 D dime will reach spectacular value, select pieces with rare errors, perfect grades, or extraordinary eye appeal have sold for impressive amounts in numismatic auctions. Each auction event adds another chapter to the story of this modern coin and increases public interest in searching through pocket change, coin jars, and rolls. The allure of modern coins lies in their mystery. One never knows what rare treasure might be hiding in a handful of change. The 2007 D Roosevelt Dime is a perfect example of a coin that, despite its young age, has already generated excitement among collectors. Whether it is the thrill of finding a doubled die, the shock of discovering an off-center strike, the beauty of a high-grade survivor, or the curiosity sparked by strange minting features, the 2007 D dime continues to attract attention. Collectors often say that every coin has a story, and the 2007 D dime story is still unfolding. As more people begin examining their coins more carefully, new varieties may be discovered. As coin grading companies evaluate more examples, the population of high-grade coins becomes clearer, revealing just how rare certain grades truly are. And as market trends shift, values rise and fall, creating opportunities for collectors, investors, and everyday finders. So whether you are a beginner, a long-time collector, or simply someone curious about the hidden value of everyday coins, the 2007 D Roosevelt Dime is a coin worth learning about, searching for, and appreciating. Its history is tied to Roosevelt's legacy. Its design is timeless. Its eras and varieties continue to surprise. And its potential value makes it a treasure worth hunting.